Hey y'all, this is Jillian from Maxine Makes Magic. Welcome back to my channel. We are back for another Disney Parks recipe series video. We are headed over to the soon to be extinct DinoLand U.S.A. in Disney's Animal Kingdom to try your hands at recreating the strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwich from Dino-Bites. Let's get into it. Welcome. I recreate Disney Parks recipes right here in my home kitchen by scouring the internet for recipes that we piece and put together to make these awesome Disney eats and treats right here at home. I always include the original creators' recipes in my description, so make sure to check them out, go give them some love if you're gonna recreate this recipe yourself. Now, the strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwich comes and goes. It's very much a limited time treat. It's not one I've been able to try before, but thanks to all of our friends on Instagram and the internet, it is one that I want to try so bad. People have been begging for me to create it so they can try it at home. This is our inspiration picture for today. Essentially, it's a lot like the Good Humor strawberry shortcake ice cream bar. That's the best thing I can liken it to. But it's using a sugar cookie as your two sandwich cookies on the outside, with a strawberry shortcake crumble, and then you can pick whatever flavor strawberry ice cream, or really whatever flavor ice cream you want to go in the middle. If you're sticking to the original recipe, it is a strawberry ice cream. I'm gonna use strawberry cheesecake because I'm a weirdo and I hate chunks of strawberry, or really anything that's not like cookie dough or M&Ms or Oreo crumbs in my ice cream. So I am going with a strawberry cheesecake ice cream, and I'm so excited about it. So we are gonna go ahead and recreate this recipe. Let's dive into a quick ingredient roundup so you know what you need in order to recreate this at home. To start our ingredient roundup, we're gonna take a look at the strawberry shortcake crumble. You're gonna need 20 golden Oreos or vanilla sandwich cookies. You're also gonna need 4 ounces of strawberry jello pudding, whether it's store or off-brand. And you're also gonna need 4 ounces of melted butter. I'll go ahead and melt this once we get closer to starting the recipe. For the sugar cookies, you're going to need a mixture of flour, baking soda, cream of tartar, and salt. I'll include all of the different amounts here on the screen. You're also going to need sugar and some sugar for rolling. You're gonna need your eggs, your softened butter, as well as your vanilla extract. I also have my strawberry cheesecake ice cream in the fridge chilling out, so it'll be perfectly ready to go when we cut to sandwiching the cookies together. That is our ingredient roundup. Super easy and simple today. So let's go ahead and start making our strawberry shortcake crumble. So to start with our strawberry shortcake crumble, you can use a Vitamix blender, you can use a food processor. A really easy way is just to get a Ziploc bag, add in your 20 Oreos, and just use a rolling pin or something that has a little bit of heft to it to just mash up into cookie crumbs. So what I'm gonna do is just put my Vitamix on a 1 setting, and I'm just gonna pulse until I get to that fine powder. So let's go ahead and give it a go. And every so often you'll notice sometimes at least a Vitamix blender stuff gets stuck. So I like to just give it a little shake. Now you could use your tamper too. I am being lazy and I don't want to have to go grab it until I absolutely have to. But you'll just keep doing this until you get your fine powder. And you also too could work by just upping the speed. And that'll help get things moving too. It does look like I'm gonna have to get my tamper though. Found it. This is just used for a Vitamix blender to help move things around so you don't overheat the fan and the blade. So we're just gonna go ahead, give this another go. I'm actually gonna turn it on to a 1 other than that, so I don't have to keep pulsing it. Just keep it low. Make sure you like the consistency. Like a food processor, you're gonna get some crumbs that stick, especially because you do keep the frosting part in. So I am going to grab a spatula and I'm going to carefully use that to move around the ingredients, just to make sure that I'm actually getting a fine powder and not a paste at the bottom. And we have a nice crumble going on. It's not gonna get much finer than that, just knowing that there is that, again, that cream filling is gonna make things already kind of bind together. So it helps along the hard work. Now, we're going to add in our Jell-O powder to that mixture as well. So now you got your Jell-O powder. Woo! Got Jell-O dust everywhere. It smells great, but I don't want to inhale it. So I'm gonna add my little lid back on. I'm gonna give this another pulse. Again, I might need the tamper to help me out, and then we're gonna use the butter and I'll add that into the top and we'll kind of let that all come together. Then we're gonna let it sit out for a little bit and clump up, dry up, so it'll be really easy to add to the top of our cookies later. So let's go ahead and give it another pulse. So you got that really pretty color. We love it. Now is the fun part. I went ahead and melted my butter in the microwave and let it sit for probably about 5 to 10 minutes, just so it's not piping hot when we pour it in here, but just enough that when we go ahead and add it in, everything will start marrying together. And I'm gonna put this on a low speed and add in a little bit of butter at a time. And it's slowly starting to find its way down the sides. Might need to help it along per usual. That's pretty common with the Vitamix. At least what I have found is that you really have to help it along at the start, or else it won't really do much. If there's no liquid at the bottom, it's not gonna move. So, what I am finding is it actually might just be easier to do this in a bowl. So I'm gonna give that a shot, which is good for most folks, because it makes this even easier. You don't need a bunch of fancy tools to do this recipe at home, which is what we're finding out right now. I think for the initial crumble, it's easier to have like a blender or a food processor, but the more you move through this part of the recipe, this is really easy just to do on your own at home, and you can see why it's not blending. All that's getting stuck down in the blender. So don't think because you don't have fancy tools at home that you can't cook or bake or anything that you might want to make. It really truly isn't needed. In most cases, it makes your life easier. In this case, questionable. That's okay. I will save you guys the pain of having to watch me do this, and when I get this all out, I'll be right back. I'm back. I got it out of the bowl, the blender. It's one of those days, y'all. I'm gonna add in a butter. Add in the butter. What is wrong with me today? Add the butter in a little bit at a time and just use a spatula here to kind of toss it up like a salad. It's gonna be much more delicious than a salad in my opinion, because I am not a salad girl. Not a salad fan. But it's like a fun strawberry salad. This is a very chaotic video. I can't remember the last video I made where I said it was one of the most chaotic videos I've done. This is starting to take the cake, and we're making cookies. So I am just kind of lightly playing around with this without letting it get too wet. You don't want it to get too wet because then it's just not gonna it's gonna be like gooey and clumpy and gross, which we don't want. Because I left a little bit of grit to the mixture, you've got a good mixture of your cookie crumbs and your strawberry bits. I mean, some people are gonna say it looks like minced meat, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree with, but yeah. Oh, and it smells amazing. So that's what we're working with. I'm gonna get a baking sheet to put this down on and kind of spread it out so it can dry up, so it's ready to go when we wanna use it later for our cookie dough. So I brought over my stand mixer because we are going to get into making the cookie dough for this recipe. It's a basic sugar cookie recipe, so it's pretty straightforward to follow. You just want to make sure that all of your ingredients are at room temperature, especially your butter and your eggs. Now, just to quickly show you guys, we did get our strawberry crumble on a baking sheet here. It's been drying up really nicely. Like I said, I think earlier when I was originally looking at this, it smells so, so good. My kitchen just smells like strawberries. And like artificial strawberries, of course, but it smells so, so good. So let's start with our cookie dough mixture. We are gonna go ahead and add our butter into our KitchenAid here, fitted with a paddle attachment and a scraper. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that added. If it wants to cooperate, I've got a couple in here that I'm just gonna toss in by hand. And yes, my hands are clean. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the paddle attachment down, lock it in, and I'm gonna let this beat for like probably 3 minutes, just so it's nice and fluffy. I'll scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then we can add in our egg yolks, our sugar, and our vanilla. But let's let that go from a medium to low speed. And once you're getting closer to that last minute, you can crank it up to a medium high to really get that butter nice and fluffy. And you'll notice a change in color. It should go from like your typical like buttery yellow to more of like a white color. And that's how you'll know the butter is perfectly aerated and whipped for nice, buttery, soft sugar cookies. Alrighty, so it's been beating now for about 3 minutes, and I think it still needs like another minute or two. You can see if you don't scrape down the side of the bowl that everything just sticks. It also sticks to your paddle attachment, so I am just going to go in here, make sure you guys can see, and just push all the butter off the sides of the bowl. Scrape it off the bottom too. You can 100% do this with a hand mixer, or you can whip the butter up by hand. I think your hand mixer or your stand mixer is going to make this process the easiest. You also don't have to take everything off like I'm doing. I just think it's easier to help you guys see what I'm working with here and what I'm doing. But this is a crucial step because it makes sure that all of your butter is whipped consistently. You're not going to have still some clumps of butter. It's usually more of a concern when you're working with cold butter. Today we're working with room temperature, so it is a little bit easier to scrape down the side of the bowl. And the spatula, which you see I am terrible at. This is not my skill set. But now that that butter is all scraped down off the sides of the bowl, put a little bit of extra back on my spatula here, pop this over to the side, put my attachment back on, and I'm gonna beat this for another minute or so, making sure to lock the blender, and again, crank it up to a medium high. So like anywhere from a 4 to a 6. Alrighty, so I went ahead and scraped down the sides of the bowl, but you can see this has a much nicer like whitish color as opposed to that buttery yellow, which means we've got the perfect amount of air whipped into our butter, which makes for nice, airy, light cookies. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in our sugar right into the mixing bowl. Put that back on the attachment, and we'll let that go for another minute. And we can set that at about a 2 to 4 speed on our stand mixer, or again, a low to medium, depending on what you're using. And once I notice that this is starting to kind of come together and I don't have sugar flying everywhere, I can bring it up another speed. Right now, it is set to a 2, but I want to get it up to about a 4. And then really just let it do its thing. We've got it mixed. The texture is gonna actually remind you a lot if you ever use like a body butter, or a body scrub in the shower. Gonna remind you a lot of that. It's gonna have like the granules of sugar still in there. You're gonna see the butter. It comes together, but it doesn't completely dissolve into the butter, which is great. We want pockets of butter and sugar together. So I'm just scraping down the beater. I already started wiping down the bowl. So now that we've got that, we're gonna go ahead and add in our egg yolks, or I should say our whole egg and our additional egg yolk, as well as our teaspoon of vanilla extract. You probably could use like half a teaspoon of vanilla and half a teaspoon of strawberry if you wanted to amp up the strawberry flavor. I am not going to do that. I'm going to stick as close to the original as I can. So we'll go ahead and add in our eggs. These have been sitting at room temperature. They're a great part of the cookie for structure. And then I've got my teaspoon and my vanilla extract from good old Costco. Go ahead, get the mixer running again on a low speed because we've got liquid in here and we don't want the liquid flying everywhere. And then once it starts to kind of combine a little bit, you can crank the speed up to about 4. Give this another 30 seconds or so, it'll be ready to go. And this is a reminder, in our flour while this is going, we've got our flour mixture here. That includes flour, salt, baking soda, and cream of tartar. That'll all come together to make a really good sugar cookie. All right, let's go ahead and add in our dry ingredients a little bit at a time. You can either just dump some in, you can use a spoon. A tip that people will use is adding a towel on the back, or excuse me, on the front once it's running. You want to make sure if you're going to put a towel over to avoid the cloud of flour, you don't put it on the back because this is the ventilation system at the back of your stand mixer and you don't want to block that. It can overheat, which is a safety problem. So just make sure if you're ever using a towel, you're not covering the entire mixture. You're only covering to about this ridge on the very back of your mixer. You should be able to see it if you've got a stand mixer. I wouldn't go anywhere further past the back so you avoid that vent. That helps the fan run and keep your KitchenAid cool. So safety tip there. We always want to be safe in the kitchen. All right, adding in our flour. I'm just going to dump a little bit in at a time, maybe in like 2 batches today, just by the amount of flour we have here. You're going to want to start it on a low speed. I usually will kind of like off on, off on, off on a couple times just to get it moving, and then you're going to run it low. And you don't want to overmix. So once you see that a good amount of the flour is combined, and let it go. There we go. Once a good amount of flour is combined, stop it, add in more. You do not want to overwork your cookie dough. So already I'm going to stop because I don't want to overwork the dough. That's what I mean. You guys might be able to see that there's still some flour granules in there. That's okay. That's what we want. Because if you try to mix in everything from the get-go, you're going to overwork your cookie dough and it's going to become really tough, and you do not want that. So first round done. Add in more. Of course, you can use your spatula to get everything off of the mixing paddle. I'm actually going to go with everything here just because it's actually kind of a small cookie dough recipe, so you don't need to use 3 rounds of adding in flour. You can just do 2 today. That should be enough. Let's just work this slowly. Ooh, see? Flour plume. Went a little too high on that one. That's okay. We're gonna let it work here for a second. If you listen, you can hear the mixer start to work. That's how you know it's done. You never want to overwork your dough. It is better for you to have to use your hands or your spatula to finish combining the dough than it is to overwork your dough. Because then you just have a blah mix. It's very tough, and you'll know it's too tough when it's too tough. So I'm going to scrape this off, and with the magic of editing, I will bring you back once all this is scraped off. We have our dough ready to go. That rhymed. We've got our dough ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees, and using a 1-inch cookie scoop, we'll go ahead and get our cookies all portioned out to pop in the oven. You're gonna wanna make sure you're using the middle racks of your oven so you're not too high on an oven rack or too low, perfectly in the middle. So make sure you have your oven set up that way before you preheat it. Super important there. You always, of course, can use like oven mitts to move the racks around, but it's just safer to do it when the oven's cool. So let's go portion out our cookie dough. Of course, once we portion them out, we are going to need to roll the dough in our sugar as well as our cookie crumble mixture to get those strawberry shortcake cookies. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so we got our cookie dough as well as our 1-inch cookie scoop. I'm gonna do a scoop at a time to start, and then if I think they need to be double scoops, I will turn them into double scoops. Because you can make these cookies as big or as little as you want. These might be a little bit smaller than those at the park, just because course, we're at home and I don't want to run the risk of these spreading to be too big. We can go ahead and get these all rolled in our shortcake crumble mixture. So let me go get that and our sugar and we can go ahead and get these guys all rolling. We have our strawberry shortcake crumb mixture ready to go. I did take the half cup of sugar, added that in, and just used a fork to kind of toss it around. I'm gonna add some of this to a plate and we'll use the stuff that's on the plate to roll our cookie dough in. I wanna save off some of the extra because I know there's gonna be extra here and we can use that later for decoration on the sides of our cookies. Because this is raw dough, this is going to be used after the cookies are baked. I don't want the raw dough coming in contact with the topping mixture. So I'm just gonna set that to the side. And all you really have to do is just how you would roll anything in a topping. You just roll it into a ball, again with clean hands, and just roll it into the mixture. You might need to do a little bit of pressing. It's not a perfect formula or process here, but go ahead and just be generous with it. Get that all rolled in and you're gonna have this little cookie dough ball that's so cute. So I'm just gonna go around with all of these and get them rolled in our sugar and shortcake mixture. The next time I see you guys, we are going to be combining our 2 cookies with ice cream to make our ice cream sandwich. I will see you then. As promised, I am back and we're gonna construct our strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwiches. Now, I have the rest of them chilling in the fridge. We're just gonna make one for camera. It is the height of summer here in the Midwest. We are on the 3rd of July, so right before the 4th of July, which is super exciting. These are gonna be perfect for my 4th of July celebration tomorrow. But I had to make sure I didn't have a melty mess for you guys. So we have our 2 sandwich cookies. Try to make sure that they're somewhat equal in size. We've got the rest of our cake crumbles that we reserved from earlier. And then as I said in the intro to this video, I am using a strawberry cheesecake flavored ice cream. Again, it's a strawberry ice cream in Disney World, but I do not do strawberry chunks in my ice cream. It really creeps me out. So we are gonna go ahead and skip that. For each cookie, you're gonna wanna get a giant dollop of ice cream for each. So I am scooping that off camera. And again, my hands are clean because I know people are gonna be like, oh my God, you're touching the ice cream. Yes, I am. I have to. Again, melty mess. You could also use a spoon or you could wear gloves, whatever you prefer. But you can use your scooper to move things around. I recommend keeping a towel handy. That is helpful. And you'll have your perfect scoop. You're gonna add your other cookie on top. And now we are going to go around the ice cream sandwich with our cookie crumbs. So pretty simple. You're just going to attack it. Now, truthfully, don't try to smush your cookies too much because they'll break. These are really, really soft cookies. So you don't need to be too forceful with them. In order to get those cookie crumbs added, you just kind of go around the cookie. And I'm excessive with it because I want this to be like strawberry shortcake overload. The one little spot's not getting coated and it's bothering me. There we go. Okay, as promised, a strawberry shortcake cookie. Oh my gosh, guys, come on. I'm gonna pop this guy in the fridge for a few minutes for our taste test, just so it can solidify a teeny bit and doesn't make a mess. You can see I have crumbs all over my countertop. All right, y'all, we did it. We made the DinoLand U.S.A. strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwich, and I am so impressed with how it turned out. I mentioned at the top of this video, DinoLand U.S.A. is closing in January 2026 forever, which means this is a limited time treat now more than ever. It might never come back to the Disney parks. I hope it gets relocated somewhere so we have this to try. But now you can try to recreate the recipe at home. These are huge. I got 11 out of this recipe, so totally shareable. I only needed 1/2 gallon of ice cream to fill all 11 cookies, so it definitely can be done with just 1/2 gallon of ice cream. Now all we have to do, can you hear it? hear coming from somewhere, the taste test. Yes, it is my favorite part of the video. It is taste test time. This has been sitting in my fridge, so I feel like it's gonna hurt my teeth so much, but we're just gonna go ahead and go for it. This is going to be a two-handed job with this cookie. All right, let's do this. Oh my goodness gracious. This is gonna melt like crazy in the Florida sun. So it's really good that we're making it at home. I'm gonna pop the rest of it really quickly in the fridge so we can just talk a little bit more about what I'm thinking about the snack before it melts everywhere. All right, y'all, my thoughts. That is by far one of the sweetest ice cream sandwiches I have ever had in my entire life, but it is so good. If you are into like sickly sweet things, that is going to be your jam. It's also going to be very shareable. That is gonna take me like 30 minutes to eat on my own, which means it's gonna be a melty mess by the end, but it's so worth it. The cookies, let it sit out of the fridge for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. Your ice cream might melt a little bit, but give some time for the cookies to kind of soften up just a little bit. But you also have that like good structure from the cookie being in the refrigerator and chilling. It keeps like everything together so it's just not immediately melting right after you serve it. So if you like today's video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. I make Disney Parks recipes right here on the channel. You can check out the playlist for it to see more of the Disney recipes I've recreated right here in my home kitchen. I also have Disney dining menu ranking reviews, Disney tip videos, all that kind of jazz. I am your girl. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you are having a great summer, you are staying cool, and as always, this is Jillian from Maxie Makes Magic, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye guys.